Hey guys, it's Bopper here again. The gameplay is just a bit of tank footage from around on Armored Shield the other day. But kind of what I want to talk about today is the Conquest mode itself, and how I feel. Some players just kind of seem to ignore the basics of this, pretty good game mode. Now I'm no pro at Battlefield, but I do know how to play the game properly, and I do have the basics down. And I just kind of wanted to share some of my thoughts and my kind of mindset when I play Conquest. Just give you a few opinions on how I think players can make Conquest more exciting. Especially on these bigger armored kill maps. As you all know by now, Conquest is pretty simple. It's all about capturing and defending flag positions, and whichever team holds the most flags, essentially will win the game. It's very simple, yet it seems a lot of players in Battlefield 3 ignore these fundamentals of the game mode, and this kind of leads to boring games a lot of the time, or those rage-inducing games where your team just seems incapable of even doing the most simple things right. They seem just happy to lose without even putting up a decent fight. Conquest is it's kind of all about territorial domination, control of the map. It's a bit slower pace, say, compared to Rush, but generally this can put some players off. But in Conquest, players seem to ignore the basics, as I said, and it's not just about capturing flags. It's also about defending the flags, which are under attack. Forcing the enemy to regroup in a different area or attack a different point on the map because that particular flag is just too well defended. A lot of the games that I play, it's kind of like musical flags or something. We capture a flag, they don't have anybody defending it, and they do the same to us, and it just goes round and round in circles, back and forth. And rarely is there much of a battle or even a fight to actually take a flag or even defend a flag a lot of the time. When I see a flag flashing, that's within reach on the mini map, that flag kind of becomes my main priority. Regardless to what class I'm playing or if I have a vehicle or not. I generally try to get there and stop the enemy if possible, or at least try and delay them a bit, till a bit of support arrives, either a chopper or tank or even some more infantry. But a lot of the times you get to the flag and there might be 3-4 enemies, possibly more, against usually maybe yourself and one other or possibly two other guys. And this is usually because a lot of your teammates are off trying to take the furthest flag on the map without even bothering to secure the central flags first, or realizing that those flags themselves in the middle of the map are strategically probably the most important. They act as a launch pad to all the other flags on the map, and they're just a lot more important to have captured and worth defending than just leaving alone and pushing towards the enemy spawn. As I say, most people always go for an already captured enemy flag, which is fine usually, but if that flag is nearest your spawn is getting captured by the enemy, it's far more important to retain that flag than trying to get one of the middle flags or pushing deep towards the enemy spawn. You can leave yourself no launching area to get back in the base if you lose the flag nearest your deployment. The enemy can then take all the central flags and even their own one and push you back to your deployment, and then it's essentially game over, even if the enemy team's only half decent. I know it might sound kind of overtly tactical but and boring, but when both teams are kind of playing the same way and prioritizing the right flags, this can make for some pretty epic games of Conquest. I actually remember a game of Gulf of Oman from a few months back. I think it was a 750 ticket server or something like that, and it was a real PTFO bloodbath from pretty much the first to the last ticket. It was probably the best ever game of Battlefield I've personally ever played, hands down. And that was simply because both teams didn't want to lose. They fought over every flag. There was no kind of strolling onto a flag with a tank, sitting there for a minute till it went down and captured it. You had to be on your toes because they would not give you anything cheaply. My team was technically higher ranked and on paper probably more experienced than the other team. They had a lot of lower ranking players, but it didn't mean shit. They fought like hell. They lost by only 3 tickets in the end, and I must have spent about 10 minutes messaging half of their team saying great game. I had good fun and got a lot of messages back saying yeah, likewise. And it's not like there was 2 clans on each side and everybody was using comms and stuff. It just kind of seemed to be people followed the lead of those that were setting the right example. And usually these high ticket games are kind of never like this. People get bored around the 350 400 ticket mark and just start dicking around, and but for lower ticket games, this is the way Conquest really can be played. For maximum fun for both sides. Nobody enjoys spawn trapping or getting spawn trapped. It's just boring. You feel like quitting. A lot of people just generally do. I mean, so often I see players just cruise around or sit in a field with a tank or something, hoping something will come their way instead of pushing towards a flag and actually making a difference for their team. I mainly like to get in tanks because that way I can at least be sure of capturing a few flags before I die, making a bit of an impact, and possibly taking out some enemy air vehicles along the way. But my main reason for getting in tanks, I think, is because I don't like to see armor just get wasted by idiot teammates. Sometimes they'll roll onto a flag, might take a few rockets, get disabled by an enemy. They'll jump out of the tank, run away into a bush. The enemy might find them, kill them, and probably repair your tank, and immediately you're kind of at a disadvantage because you've got one less tank. It's not going to spawn until it's taken down, and if the enemy tank driver is even modestly good, you're usually fucked. Anyway, that's just kind of some of the tips, not so much tips, but just some of the basics I wanted to go over. I know a lot of you guys are well experienced at this stage, but it's just kind of a mindset that I like to play Conquest mode in. I suppose so. Like, if you guys go out there and try and play that a similar kind of way, and maybe some of your silly teammates will follow your lead and actually use their brains for once, and you might end up having some good games of Conquest. Because I know a lot of people criticize Conquest, saying it's boring, it's too slow paced, and but I think if people really actually play the game mode the way it's supposed to be, Conquest is, in my opinion anyway, the best game mode. It's the core of Battlefield. It's what I always like to play. It's predominantly what I play, and that's why I kind of make this video, just because some of these things do frustrate you from time to time, and I just think the game overall would be better suited if people kind of played this way. You can still have fun. I'm not saying it's got to be some tactical kind of slugfest where one side will just sit there and can't push here because it's not tactically the right thing to do, but just have a little bit of the basics. If you see a flag, it's worth dying for, rather than running in the middle of nowhere and getting roadkill by a buggy or something. So anyway, that's gonna do it for me, guys. I'll talk to you guys soon. Take it easy. Bye.